Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez. In this episode 606, I am joined as always by my co-host Prez, that is @_Presidente on Twitter. Prez, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just enjoying the AJ DeBonta era here in Washington.
That's good. That's good. It's good to enjoy things while they last. Something I'm learning in real time. We're going to talk about that. But before we get started, I do have to let you know that Strickland has Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/Strickland. If you subscribe to the $6 tier, you get access to Pod Strickland, this podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to the Strickland Discord, where you can converse with site staff as well as other patrons. If you subscribe to the $9 tier, you get access to Strickland Roll, the pod that I host with YC, where we discuss the Knicks even more. And you get access to Strictly NFL, which you guessed it is a podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos and Luca. And if enough of you subscribe, I won't have to do any more of these shitty ad reads. Also, thank you to our sponsor, FanDuel. FanDuel has you covered for all of your sports betting needs. MLB regular season, World Cup, NBA futures, NFL futures, all of it. Right at your fingertips over on FanDuel. Okay, look, we can talk about the draft. We're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about a lot of things with the draft. But I think we have to start with, unfortunately, the reporting, I guess I can say, that James Dolan is refusing steadfastly to allow the front office to enter the second apron to bring back a championship roster and give them a chance to repeat. And we talked about it on the live stream that we did for the draft. I talked about it with Tyrese and Sam, and I think there are actual reasonable basketball arguments that can be made to not bring back Mitchell Robinson. I think it's possible and maybe even likely that we've seen the best of him. His defense throughout the season was not close to the level we're used to. He doesn't play back-to-backs. You have to load manage him through the season. He averaged 19 minutes per game in the regular season. He averaged 14 minutes per game in the playoffs. He had a terrible playoffs. He had by far his worst postseason as a Knick. And all of that is reasonable. I think that if a team came in and was like, we're going to give him 4 years, $70 million, I think you could look at that and be like, this isn't about the money. We don't think giving you that contract is prudent. And actually, it will hurt us in the future, given, where we are with the cap, some extensions that are looming in the distance, and the fact that we don't have a lot of draft capital. So if we do need to move off of you, that could be problematic. I think those are all that's a very, very reasonable position to take. I want to be very clear about that. And independent of James Dolan's apparent desire to stay out of the second apron, there's an argument to be made that letting Mitchell Robinson walk might be the smart thing to do. I think that's fine. What is not okay is if that decision isn't being made because of Leon Rose and World Wide West and the front office making a choice, but rather them having financial restrictions imposed upon them. And it's a problem because, one, I tweeted it, I said it last night, I'll say it again. If the Knicks are never going to enter the second apron, then I am forever grateful. Truly, I am forever grateful that last year's group, the 2025-2026 Knicks, got it done, that they won a championship, because they will never compete for a championship again with this core if we're never going to even entertain entering the second apron. And I steadfastly believe that. Or maybe I should say not say never, but the odds of contending for a championship when you bleed talent because of a unwillingness to enter the second apron, at least, especially in the short term, when this is 100% the title window that they had in mind when they put all these pieces together. That's a gut shot to your chances of contending again with this core, a core which is, I don't want to say old, but you're at the point um, where um, you know you're these guys are 29 to 31 years old. This is their window is now. It's not 3 years from now. It's not 4 years from now. It is right this second. Um, so I want to be very clear about that. And um, it's just it's really, really annoying. It's very frustrating because I don't fully understand the reasoning. I mean, I guess I do understand the reasoning. It's money. But James Dolan's made a shit ton of money off this team over the years. He's certainly made a shit ton of money off of them winning a fucking championship this past season. Um, you know, uh, this and what's probably even more frustrating to me is it's not like this group, this front office has assembled unwieldy, overly expensive rosters for the duration of their time. They didn't even spend up to the fucking cap in their first year. They didn't pay the tax until the 2024-25 season. They literally did not pay the tax until that point. Um, so that's just all very frustrating to me. And the fact that now, on the cusp of, or not on the cusp, after having reached the mountaintop, you are not even going to give this group a chance to defend their title, or you're ruling out the potential to bring back this group to give them a chance to win to defend their title. Is, as a fan, I think it's bullshit. Quite honestly, um, I think that it's wrong. It's just wrong. And if you're gonna sit there, with Carl Anthony Towns this summer when you're trying to negotiate an extension, why the fuck would he bother to even think about giving you, a discount or working with you to remain financially flexible when you're bleeding talent because the owner doesn't want to fucking pay money? Why should he bother to help you out? So, again, and the other part of it is like this front office deserves to dictate the terms of what occurs with the roster. Okay. The Knicks were stumbling around the desert, with a cup in their hand, sort of like they were nowhere before Leon Rose and Roy West and Brock Aller and Frank Zanin and Walt Perrin and all these guys came on board and helped turn this thing around step by step, brick by brick. And they did it gradually. They did it in a way that is just super impressive all across the board. Um, they should be, they should have the owner's trust, and he should trust in them to pay what he needs to pay and let them do what they need to do. They've earned that. And, unfortunately, I guess James Dolan doesn't see it that way. And that sucks for us as fans. But, I am thankful that they got it done this season because, unless Dolan changes his mind and loosens the purse strings, they were never going to have a chance to do it in this upcoming season, which is, it sucks. It is what it is. But yeah, look, there are genuine basketball reasons not to enter the second apron. I want to be very clear about that. I stand by the things I had said previously about the reasoning for it. There are reasons to maybe not bring back Mitch, to not bring back Shaman. And I'm open to all of that. What I am unwilling to accept is not entertaining those possibilities at all, purely because you can't, because your owner won't cut the check. That's bullshit to me.
All right, yeah. I mean, I think I agree with all that. And before I give my additional take, I just want to take like a step back. I know not everybody's like a nerd about this shit. It's the worst part about the new CBA to me is not even the restrictions it imposes on teams, but the fact that like regular fans just it puts up a giant wall in situations like these when a regular fan is trying to just like why is it my favorite team, retaining a player or a player who's really good and doesn't seem that expensive. It just makes it harder to access the league, and I think that sucks. But with that being said, uh, what I wanted to mention was just like for people who aren't like, you see the second apron written about, oh my God, the second apron, what does that really mean? Basically, um, there's penalties once you go above this number for how much salary your team is paid. The biggest penalty is financial, right? It basically means for every $1 you have to pay a whole lot of more dollars. And if you are in the second apron, if you are above that second apron limit for how much you pay your whole team for 3 years in a row, then that financial penalty becomes even bigger. So the general consensus is like, yeah, the penalty for passing the second apron, you have to spend a lot of money, but we've seen some teams do it. We've seen the Cavs do it last year, most recently. I think it's usually teams that are sort of in the mix for a title, if not legitimately in the mix. And the these are billionaire owners, but even the penalty once you're in there for 3 years is quite exorbitant. So like I actually do kind of as much like to me it's always like it's their money, fuck it. They're already rich. This is America, but like I could at least like squint and see why some owner would be like, we can't go for 3 years straight. But like if you can go for 2 years and then go back under and avoid it. The other incentive to not go into the second apron has nothing to do with how much the owner pays. It has to do with team building restrictions. So once you go in there, it basically you can't trade certain you can't trade picks a certain amount of time into the future, um, which is important because, as you know, contending teams tend
First
to
round picks.
yeah, first round picks in the future because it's important because as if you're a contending team and you want to make changes, right? Say Josh Hart loses his fastball and he's less athletic in 2 years or something like that. Like you might need to move a first round pick in the future because you've already used your first round picks for someone like Mikal Bridges, right? The other thing you can't do is put salaries together in trades or aggregate salaries. So you can't say, okay, we're going to combine Deuce's salary and Josh Hart's salary to trade for some player making, say Deuce gets paid $15 million a year and I don't know, Jose gets $5 million a year. We can't combine that to trade for a player making 20 to consolidate and then replace the second spot with like a rookie or something like that. Um, and then your picks way in the future automatically uh, in the first round fall to last in the round after a certain amount of time. So there are like actual strategic penalties, and that's kind of what Shwin was alluding to before when like you can decide strategically weighing the pros and cons and say, okay, like Mitch is declining, he's old, he's injury prone, and even though he still has moments of dominance, right? He had moments in the finals, he dunked on Embiid. He's had regular season games where, especially in the second half of the year, he was pretty dominant. You could still say like, okay, all those penalties though, and the cost to Dolan, like we'd rather actually save that for the future when we know Jalen Brunson's going to have to make more money or something like that. So I just wanted to give like a little overview, and to me, like you said, I'm not like if Dolan was like, nah, we don't want to go over the second apron, we can't do it, it's stupid. And the front office, he was saying that because the front office told him like, yeah, I don't think we should waste our ammo on going over this year. We got to save it for when Brunson is making a lot more money and we have even less flexibility. Something like that, would make sense. And I'm not going to pretend to be, a cap expert like our friend Jeremy over at KFS or Brock Aller or something like that. I even know less about it than Schwinn, if that's hard to believe for you, the listeners. So, You know,
I mean, it's like if you look at Mitchell Robinson's defensive grades this season, right? Just on Basketball Index, like it's not good. It's actually pretty fucking bad. Like
and it
so,
checks out with the eye test, right? Like if you just ask somebody who doesn't even have basketball index, and I know you're about to like say the actual grades, um, like if you ask somebody who watches Knicks games, so not like a super casual, like who like actually locks in and watches, but isn't like online, and they're like, what is Mitch good at on defense this season? I would say post defense and
rebounding.
perimeter defense. You know, we saw in the playoffs a little bit, like he was able to kind of stick with Wemby, far from the hoop, and then rebounding, of course, where he remains a
Yeah.
beast.
And I wouldn't even say the perimeter defense, like, yeah, okay, you're okay, you
He
could
was
stick with
fine. He wasn't
yeah,
like
you could stick with
Adebayo out
Wemby.
here.
Well, it's like you could stick with Wemby, which is good. Obviously, Wemby's pretty athletic for a big
Of
guy,
course.
but like we've seen in the past when Mitch is at his best, um, he can keep guards in front of him, right? He can check guys that should have, in theory at least, real athletic advantages over him. Like that's what makes him special on that end of the floor. And this year, you didn't see that. And
You didn't see the pick and roll defense, except for
no, it
I
was
would say the end of January and February. That was really about it.
yeah, like and I don't even know what his percentage allowed at the rim was this past season. I'm pretty sure it was worse than it's been in the past. But like, it's maybe sometimes it's like last year, right? In the 2024-25 season, Mitch came back late in the season, and in the playoffs, he probably played the best ball of his career, I would say. Um, and it was super, super impressive. And you're like, okay, wow, that's amazing, given all he's been through. What a great job by him. What a great job by the medical staff. And this year, they obviously had him on a very similar type of plan, right? No back to backs. You're not going to play. You're basically never playing more than 20 minutes in a game, yada, yada, yada. And while he and the medical staff, again, deserve immense credit for staying healthy through the season and all that, um, you could feel and see some real kind of red flags. Maybe red flags is a little bit strong, but orange flags at least, right? Of
He's slowing down. He's a
yeah,
7 foot, 250 pound player who's been injured a lot. It was gonna
yeah,
happen eventually.
yeah. And so it's again, like I think there's a reasonable argument to be made that you don't bring him back. I think that, I forget who it was. It might have been, I think it was Fred Katz. Or no, sorry, it was Begley, who reported that last year, prior to the season, I guess prior to this past season, it's so weird when you're in between seasons because you're like, is it this season? Is it last season? I don't know. Before this past season, um, that they had come close to extending Mitch and then they decided not to. So I think there's probably they probably made a decision of like, hey, like, why don't we hold off on an extension? Let's see what Mitchell Robinson looks like, and then if need be, we, if he's earned it and we're comfortable with the number and the years and all of that, we'll extend him after the season. And I don't know that Mitchell Robinson leaving is they could, for all we know, they might have not extended Mitch anyways after the season or given him a new contract after the season because they're worried about exactly the stuff we're talking about and how he's going to age and what it looks like. That's possible. But what, again, and I hate to hammer this home, but it needs to be hammered home, is like the actual fucking issue is that that decision is being taken out of their hands because it's not actually about what Mitchell Robinson, what he's going to look like over the next 2, 3, 4 years. It's not about, do we feel comfortable paying him this contract? No, it's we can't pay him this fucking contract because our fucking piece of shit fucking owner, whose fat fucking mouth won't shut the fuck up since they won a championship, won't fucking pay him. That's what it is, actually. It has nothing to do with basketball evaluation. It has nothing to do with cap strategy by Brock Aller. No, it's because our fucking sad sack of shit owner who fucking wants to jerk off the fucking orange goblin in the fucking White House, he won't pay anything. So, if that's the case, that's the case. And again, I'm just responding to what is out there in the ether, what's being reported. It would be great if James fucking Dolan wanted to change his mind. But you know, I can't. I don't know if he's going to. I hope he does. It'd be great. And if he does, it doesn't mean that you're going to bring Mitchell Robinson back. Again, like I'm very cool. Not I mean very cool is probably a strong statement, but I'm open to the idea that it is prudent to move on from Mitch. Sometimes it's better to lose a guy early than lose him late, right? And there is some like it is like a nice maybe end of a full circle moment for him to be like, I was the first guy here. I was literally on the worst Knicks team of all time. And I saw it all the way through to win a championship. And I came up with, you know, the championship ceiling offensive rebound in many ways, right? It's like a nice full circle moment from Mitchell Robinson. You shake his hand. Thank you for your service. You've been a great Knick. Maybe we're going to retire your number. Go get your bag somewhere else. Completely okay with that. If that's a basketball assessment being made by the front office. But when it's purely financial handcuffs being put on them by the owner, yeah, that sucks. And like it sucks because they deserve better than that. We deserve better than that. The fans deserve better than that. The fans who have been paying God knows how much money to go watch this team through absolute dog shit years, and have been paying hand over fist as the team got progressively better and traveled to fucking Cleveland and fucking San Antonio to go support this team on the road, to the point where it was basically fucking home games. Yeah, we deserve better than this. And just like I guess the state of things in the country, we don't get what we deserve because some money grubbing billionaire controls, the means of things and doesn't want to. He'd prefer to line his own fucking pockets instead of paying up to keep the product at the level that it should be at. And it's a disservice to the fans. It's a disservice to the front office. And it's a disservice to the players. It's a disservice to Jalen Brunson, a disservice to Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, all these guys who, have put it all on the line and did everything that you could have possibly asked them to do and delivered the thing that nobody has delivered for 53 years. They deserve to have the best opportunity to defend their title. And if we're not going to even entertain going to the second apron, that's not happening. Like, it's not happening. I would be genuinely, I think if the Knicks are not even going to entertain this, there's a chance they lose both Shaman and Mitchell Robinson. And yeah, your title window is
you can figure some shit out like for this year. Like it's not easy, but you could trade for a backup center who's impactful, who doesn't make a lot of money. You could replicate, Landry Shamit's shooting, and you have a mix of guards and Mo Diawara who can shoot and do other things. So you can, like, in the aggregate still be this shit nothing could change from what we're saying, and they could still find a way to come out of the East as the best team. I wouldn't be surprised. Where it really gets impossible is after this year. And that means, like, if they don't do it in this coming season, then it's basically curtains. Because at that point, if you still don't want to go into the second apron, you're not talking about losing Mitch. You're talking about losing Josh Hart, or losing Mikal Bridges, or losing OG Anunoby, or losing Karl Towns. So, like, at that point, that's just curtains. It's grand opening, grand closing. So, to, like what Chu said, like, I'm happy we did it. We broke the drought, right? 53 years. It was great.
I did not. There was points in my life where I'm like, the Knicks are never going to win a championship in my lifetime, and I just have to, like, accept this. And I don't know why I'm happy to be a Knicks fan, but I'm happy to be a Knicks fan, and I will just accept. Like, so for them to win the championship is extremely gratifying and awesome. And again, like I genuinely
To your
mean
point,
it.
to your point about like the state of things in the world, like I might write about this. We'll see if how lazy I am in the coming week or two and whether things change. But like, what really sucks to me is like the way things are right now for most people in the country. You can be happy. You can run into wins and successes. You can have success in your personal life, in your professional life. Things can go your way while you're doing good work, doing good, being good to the people around you, doing work that benefits people, all that shit. But you're doing that in the context of a bunch of bullshit happening where these fucking rich people are just constantly twisting the knife and making life fucking impossible for the vast majority of people who are just trying to get through their fucking week, pay their rent, feed their kids, and all that shit. And there's really to me like a very tragic parallel where it's like the Knicks front office had to basically perform like multiple miracles of strategic planning to get the team to a place where they could compete for a championship and then actually do it. And then the players obviously had to themselves like we've seen them all talk about it, right? That all the guys on the roster have been doubted, and they overcame the doubt. They overcame haters. They overcame obstacles. They sacrificed, changed their game down from the best players on the roster to the players at the end of the bench. And they did all that, and all the stars aligned, and it happened. We did the thing, and it was great. 2 million people showed up. Millions more who couldn't show up probably also celebrated in their own homes, and it's great. And you got to enjoy it, and then the reality of a billionaire's whims just fucking up everything just come crashing down and rain on your parade. That's just so tragically similar to like the way so many aspects of our society currently operate. And it's not lost on me, and it fucking sucks. And just like in real life, that doesn't mean you shouldn't appreciate the championship. You shouldn't appreciate whatever you accomplish or whatever you do at work or whatever your family does. Like, oh yes, but like it doesn't have to be this way, and that's what fucking sucks. It doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to really say. So it is what it is. You know, if if you look over on FanDuel, the Knicks are plus 800 to win the championship for next season. They are fourth favorites in the league. Oklahoma City is ahead of them. The Spurs are ahead of them, and Boston is ahead of them in the East. I'll say this, man: if they're not going to keep Mitchell Robinson, they're not going to keep Shamet, and that, like, I think you can make basketball decisions to not keep those guys, and it would hurt your ability to compete for a championship this season, regardless. So maybe they were going to make that choice either way. Again, it just sucks that it feels like it's not an active choice being made. I guess that is an active choice being made, but by the owner who doesn't want to pay instead of basketball people making basketball decisions, which is really all you want. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say on that. Like, I agree with you. I think that you can. I think like they're a smart group, and even if they were blindsided by James Dolan imposing this effective hard cap on them, I think they will find a way to cobble things together and give themselves a chance
They'll
to
have a chance this year. They'll have a
yeah,
chance this year. Like
yeah.
that's just the gear they hit in the playoffs. Like was actually not dependent on Mitchell Robinson, right? Like,
I mean, he was flat out. It's pretty funny if you actually look at the team on offs for the playoffs. Mitchell Robinson and Landry Shamet are like the worst among their rotation guys, and look. I think Shamet actually had a really good postseason. Mitchell Robinson, less so, less so. But to your point, yeah, like they didn't hit the gear they hit in the playoffs because of Mitchell Robinson, or because, I mean, Shamet contributed, but it's not because of Landry Shamet, right? They hit that as a group and a collective, just togetherness, that I think is special. And maybe they're not going to be there for 82 games, obviously, but that group obviously is capable of winning a lot of basketball games and being competitive against anybody in the East, especially. But yeah, it's a lot harder. Again, I think they will, just the way that they found a way, right, to add another ball handler and getting Alvarado at the trade deadline. They'll find a way to, approximate, or not maybe approximate, but give themselves some decent center play behind Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe it's Ariel Hukporti, maybe it's somebody else coming in, maybe it's it takes a village and it's a bunch of people. Whatever it is, they'll find something. But again, you'd rather just not have to deal with that and be able to just be like, yep, we're running this back and so on. Or at least, more than anything, it's just you kind of wish, if you're the front office, it's like, hey, why did you not tell us this until literally we found out when you went on fucking Carton after the parade, like literally the day of the parade, after the parade, you went on Carton and told us this. Why did we not know before? That will always, that
That's
would
the
be,
weirdest part to me, because like we know Dolan's a fucking loser of enormous scale, but his relationship with Leon Rose is pretty ironclad. They talked regularly, according to reporting, throughout the season. It wasn't like, I know a lot of people think because Dolan hasn't popped off in public like he is now, that he's just been kind of ignoring the Knicks, playing music and building this fear. But like, that's not the case. He was around the team. He just wasn't around the media. And when the Tibbs reporting came out last year, I know some people were like, "Oh, Dolan he forced Leon to fire Tibbs." There was reporting that came out after that said that's not the case, which I firmly believe, because there was 100,000 basketball reasons to do that, and because Leon has his own relationship with both those dudes, and I don't think Leon's stupid, and for Dolan to do that to Leon, to catch him off guard like that, right? We're not talking fucking Brock Aller. We're not even talking West. We're talking Leon. Like, there was two fellow super duper rich dudes with a close relationship. Leon was trusted enough by Dolan that Dolan handpicked him when there was many reasons why Dolan didn't have to turn the ship around, right? But like, for Dolan to blindside Leon, like, that's, if that is actually what happened, that's gonna fucking suck for Leon.
yeah. I mean, if you're Leon, you just got to be like, I don't know. It's bizarre because it's like, hey, I did everything. I did everything you could have possibly wanted me to. And we won a championship, and now you're kind of,
Pulling the rug out.
yeah, exactly.
Because even if Dolan wanted to be petty and pinch the pennies, like, if I'm Leon, I'm like, yo, you can't talk to me first. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's what I don't get. Like, that's the part. And like, look, maybe Dolan really did go on the radio and had no idea what he was saying, just like we kind of thought at the time. And this is actually a basketball decisions. These are actually basketball decisions being made, and there's wild speculation going on from league sources or whatever. Maybe that's all true, but it certainly feels like that's the wishful thinking path, the copium path that I often take when it comes to my favorite teams, versus the realistic one, the simplest one, which is, yeah, Dolan just said, like, no, we're not spending into the second apron, and that's that. And it needs to be said that Ian Begley has also reported that it was that he wasn't that was not him misspeaking when he was on Carton, and that he reiterated that before the draft.
Internally.
Yeah, internally before the draft. Um, Worth noting, the Knicks moved down one spot in the first round initially from 24 to 25 for $5 million in cash, and then they sold the 55th pick or 53rd pick, sorry, outright for I believe $3.5 million in cash. So it's $8.5 million in cash. They lined up for Jimbo Dolan. Maybe that's how you curry favor with him to get him to be like, hey, like, can you loosen the purse strings here a little bit and give us a little bit more breathing room? We'll see. But yeah, and also just to be clear, there's also a world where like they only lose Mitchell Robinson, where they can bring Shamit back, even though they're going to stay under the second apron. Like it's possible that you only
That's what the math dictates, to be honest. Is like if I had to guess, like that's what would happen.
right. And so like, that's not horrible. I think that you can compete with that. It's hard because even the whack version of Mitchell Robinson is still the best
Very
offensive
good.
rebounder in the NBA. Like he's like gives you a curveball that no other team really has behind their backup or behind their starting center. So it's going to be hard. Like Ariel Hukporti, I think he showed clear signs of positive progression through the season after he had a really bad start, I should say. But I thought he closed the season well when he got opportunities. And, we only saw him very briefly in the playoffs and certainly only very briefly in the NBA finals.